I'm an art teacher. I'm not a scientist, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a mathematician, and I know that this organization does a lot, and we all talk about STEAM, and science, technology, engineering, mathematics. I am an advocate, and I try to say, to tell people that there's something else too. There's STEM and there's STEAM. STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math, and there's STEAM, you throw in the art. Why is the art important? The art is important because it is such a way to grab these children. And if you look at this country was created by thinkers, this country was created by great men and women who were inventors, and the creativity that is produced with art can be passed along to all those areas. If you look historically to artists of 500 years ago, if you look at your Michelangelo, he designed the dome of St. Peter's. He was an engineer. You look at Leonardo da Vinci, they were chemists. So somewhere along the line, we separated the arts from the sciences. Whereas I'm somebody that says that we need to bring those back together, because that's how kids learn. And especially on the elementary level. I mean, if you look at Bill's granddaughter right now, this past week with Mr. Thurlow and myself, the technology teacher, over the course of the last 3 months, we had the entire Bedwell School work on making our own version of the National Air and Space Museum. How many 9, 10-year-old little girls even know what a F-4 Phantom is? And her friends, as a group, they were a group between 2 and 3 students, created a model of the F-4 Phantom, did that research. I have another little group of girls that were so proud of their P-51 Mustang. I mean, how many 4th grade little girls know these things? And the boys, our daughter created the ISS. Her and her friend created a beautiful 3-foot model of the International Space Station. And they did so much research, and they took such pride in their work. So besides doing the research and learning this, what did they gain from the art aspect of it? They gained the creativity of taking cardboard tubes, rolls and rolls and rolls and rolls of duct tape and masking tape and paper mache to envision and create these structures, these planes, air and space. Now, the greatest thing about that is that they had to come up with their own concepts on how to render these things. And Bill will tell you, we just went off yesterday, and it was phenomenal. I'm very proud of the kids. But that's where I get my enjoyment as a teacher, because when you look at these kids today, they are so into their video games and so into that. I think that we are losing something in this country. I think that we are losing a creative generation. I think that if you look at these kids today, I've been teaching for 24 years, they have a hard time. You know, they come into the art room and they're like, I don't know what to draw. What do I draw? There's no kindergarten, 1st grader, 2nd grader, 3rd grader, or 4th grader should ever ask that question on what to draw. So one of the things I also done with the STEAM aspect is about 5 years ago I received a earth science teacher, not being an earth science teacher, received an earth science teacher's grant from Toshiba to buy sketchbooks. So my principal has endorsed this too, where all the students in the Bedwell School will get their own sketchbook. And I should have brought my older daughters who left my school sketchbook, and what they do is in the sketchbook I will teach them the art aspect, and they'll do lessons in there with me. But I've also gotten the classroom teacher, so when they're doing the different food chain, the food web, or if they're doing photosynthesis, they have the kids draw the plants and draw everything in the sketchbooks. Because if you look, I mean, I like to really talk about Leonardo da Vinci. When you look at Leonardo da Vinci, and you look at all those great sketchbooks that he has saved, that we have saved posterity over the course of his life, that they are great pieces of artwork, but they are also great inspirational pieces for engineering and for the sciences too. You know, everybody knows many of the pieces of his person standing there, full person, or his plane, or his helicopter, or his tank, or his parachute, the triangle parachute. They also say that many of these things, there's a chance that they would actually have worked if given time in that. But that's where I believe that it is important to grab these kids at a young age. It's important to get these kids into the sciences. It's important to do that. And sorry, cough is coming. But that's what I believe. I love my job. Like I said, I've been teaching for 24 years, and to be able to get these kids interested. You know, if you ask our daughter right now, well, my one daughter, if you ask her what is she going to be when she grows up, she's going to say a rockologist. She wants to be a geologist. If you ask my other daughter what she's going to be, she wants to be an architect. I mean, what more can we say by grabbing these kids at an early age and grabbing these girls at an early age? Because you know yourself that there's not enough girls going into the sciences and there's not enough girls going into math. And as an art teacher, if I could help bring that, instill that love, and show them that passion that they could do this and that it could be passed along, and then I feel my job is full. So, thank you very much. Questions?
Where did you get this great concept? Did you think it up? Did someone else think it up and you
Well,
took it on of linking art and the sciences?
it's funny.
It's a great idea.
Well, it's funny that you say that because it is something that I have done my whole career as an art teacher. If you walk into my art room right now, I have environment set in my art room. You walk over one thing, I take part in travel classroom. I take part. The state of New Jersey brings me 250 trout eggs every year, and we raise trout. We talk about the life cycle of a trout in the art room. The kids sit there with their sketchbooks. They draw the trout in my classroom. I also have another tank in there with poison dart frogs in there. If you want to know what the rainforest looks like, here's a tank with poison dart frogs in it. I also have geckos in my classroom. I have a garden that I started 5 years ago. So what happened is, to answer your question, these are things that I've always been interested in myself. We have 21 raised beds. We got a grant a couple years ago. I also got a grant from Lowe's to put in vegetable gardens at the school so that the produce that we raise at the school goes into the cafeteria for the kids to eat. Now, with all this being said, to answer your question, I did the garden because I wanted to. I did all the other programs because I wanted to. Then somebody recently comes along with a term and says, let's call it STEM, let's call it STEAM. But it's these big terms in the educational fields that are out there right now, but it's things that I've been doing all along. So it's easy to say, oh, I am a STEAM teacher, because it's what I've been doing for the course of 22 years. And it's the way I teach, because I think that, you know, the more that you could do, when we had this, and Bill will tell you, when we had this Air and Space Museum, the love, the excitement in these kids' eyes, and every part that comes into the room, I tell them, this is what they're supposed to be doing. They're not supposed to be sitting there taking standardized tests on the elementary level. This is what they should be doing. The more hands-on, the more engaged, that more creativity that you could put into these lessons, the more they're going to want to do it. I mean, let's a little back history. Bill and I do have a history together. I taught his older grandchildren that no longer go to Bedwell School. I teach his current grandchildren. I'm a very patriotic person. Bill will tell you that. We do a Flag Day ceremony at the Bedwell School where the local VFW chapter comes out. We're probably one of the last schools, and Bill knows this too. I don't know how many schools do a Pearl Harbor Day flag raising ceremony. We do a Pearl Harbor Day flag raising ceremony in my school. So all this that inspires my life and makes me who I am is what I want to do with my children at the school. I want to pass that along to them. So if it's being a patriotic citizen is part of who I am. I had a father that was a Marine that became a police officer in Elizabeth, New Jersey. I had grandfathers that were in the Navy. That affected me on who I am. If I could pass that love of being a patriot to these kids, if I could pass the love of the environment to these kids, if I could pass a way of learning to these kids, then that's what I want to do, because I'm not doing it because it's called, I like the rest of the world. I'm also Boy Scoutmaster, my son's troop here in Chatham, and it kills me because even that organization says STEM. And I'm like, yeah, but the Boy Scouts can earn a merit badge in art. They can earn a merit badge for many different aspects of art. Why aren't they calling it STEAM? Because the art is so important. And as I said, I don't know where we went wrong as a society, but somewhere along the line we separated those arts and the sciences. And my goal is to inform people to drive them back together, because that's what we should do. So, thank you very much.
Very good.
Excellent.
Okay. Big smile there. I don't think we got enough, okay.
What?
Okay, good.
You got a couple of good ones?
I hope so. You know, we get a little closer. I can hand some, it's kind of dark, but we'll get it. Okay, thank you.
All right, your wife can fix it on.
Yeah, she can fix it for me.
So have you taught the kids with Leonardo da Vinci's mirror writing?
We talk about it, that's one of the things. One of the lessons I just did with my fourth grade is we studied the Sistine Chapel, and then what I do is I have the fourth graders take a piece of paper and they take it up underneath the table, and then they do a drawing while they're laying upside down underneath the table on the floor, and then they paint it upside down with watercolors, and they're like, it's gonna drip on me. I'm like, yeah, so what? And so we talk all about frescoes, but then they, you know, it's to give them a greater appreciation, so hopefully one day they'll go visit the Sistine Chapel and they'll have a personal connection to it too. So, and then we talk all about the Dome of St. Peter's and how he was an engineer that designed it and everything else.
Here is a check from National and a check from the chapter. So thank you for your
Oh, thank you.
efforts.
Thank you very
and,
much.
That's it. That's all I got for you.